We all know that language learning can result in humorous misunderstandings, so get ready to laugh out loud at the most hilarious language mistakes I've heard. If you have a funny one of your own, leave it in the comments below and maybe it'll be featured in a later video. And stick around to the end if you want to hear mine. Let's go! A friend often told of being on a crowded city bus and politely saying, "Excuse me," to get through to the door. People laughed and moved aside because what he had been saying was, "Allow me to fart." I guess I'd give them space too if someone said that to me. My mom works at a pharmacy in Spain. Some time ago, someone walked in the pharmacy saying they have a cold, which in Spanish is constipado. My mom is not Spanish. The same person came in the next day with 2 problems. That poor person, but didn't they read the label and see that the pharmacist gave them a diuretic?
I'm not actually learning Vietnamese, but while I was traveling there, I wanted to learn a few words to help with travel. During my first meal there, I asked the restaurant staff how to say the word delicious so that I could compliment folks after a meal. They told me that it was ngon. For the rest of the trip, for any good meal, I would cheerfully say ngon and give the chef a big thumbs up. I know that thumbs up isn't a universal thing, but I hoped that they'd be familiar enough with English folks that they'd get what I was doing. And it'd help drive it home that I liked the food in case my pronunciation was bad. Much later on, I was informed by a Vietnamese speaker that Vietnamese is a tonal language and that the word ngon, spoken with a different tone, literally means thumb.
Can you imagine if a person ate a meal and then just said, "Thumb"? I wouldn't know what to make of it. When I was first learning English, my friend argued with his mother. I was trying to encourage him to talk to her and work it out. What I said was, "Go make love to your mother." That is the same day I learned what make love in English meant. Actually, I'm a native speaker of English, but until around high school, I thought that making love meant to romance or woo someone because I didn't think that all those romantic songs could be talking about SEX.
I lived in a small Spanish village up in the mountains north of Madrid. I used to visit this green grocer's from time to time, and I bought dried figs, higos secos, from them, which they unfortunately didn't always have depending on the season. One day I walk in and I confidently ask the cashier, "Hola, ¿tienes hijos secos?" "Hi, do you have dried children?" I got a perplexed look and he replied with, "No, sorry, there are no dried figs, higos secos, today." I realized my mistake, and that's been one of my favorite stories to tell people.
A guy in my Russian class meant to ask a girl if he could use her ruchka, but instead asked for her rubashka. Much giggling, didn't you? "Honey, can I use your rubachka?"
In American Sign Language, the signs for early and nude are fairly similar. I came to a 5:30 class one day at 5 o'clock and signed to my instructor, "Is it okay for me to be nude? Will it bother you?" My instructor was laughing so hard he couldn't communicate and eventually told me to use my nude time to double check my signs.
My wife is from Mexico, and once when we were visiting her mother, I was telling them about how cold it gets in Minnesota. And they couldn't believe that it gets down to like -35 sometimes in the winter. And so my mother-in-law asked me how I keep warm in the winter. And I made the mistake of telling her that I had calentura instead of calefacción. So basically I told my mother-in-law that I kept warm by being horny all the time. "Honey, can I use your rubachka?"